Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Dookie Forge. We're starting to make some progress. I'm starting to feel a little bit more comfortable. I'm starting to learn a little. I don't know if I'm learning anything. You can't tell if you're actually learning, but I'm feeling a lot better. We've made the first 50 bottle openers. Excuse me. We made the first 50 bottle openers, and that went pretty well. Considering I just kind of dove in and went for it. We are just finishing up the actual bending jig to make the next 50 bottle openers, which is going to really help out as far as efficiency and allow me to maybe do some more creative designs on the bottle openers because I don't have to worry about bending them in that process. So that's something that's going to be really exciting. And then, but there's a few more things I kind of wanted to do in this in-between time, in between the first and the second 50 bottle openers. And I wanted to kind of continue on the expansion of not only my learning of this skill and all that, but I wanted to, well, as I've mentioned before, I have certain limitations when it comes to tools and tool sets. Like I still don't have I can't have a welder and a grinder and a bunch of other stuff, right? And so, but some of the tools I can have, I just don't yet. And one of those tools is kind of a foundational tool to especially traditional blacksmiths, and that I really want to try to make myself. I could just buy it, but I really want to make it myself, and hopefully I can make it good enough that it will work for, for the work I want to do. If not, if I mess it up and it turns out all piece of crappy, well then I'll probably just buy one. But anyway, the tool I'm talking about is a guillotine tool. I see it all the time on all sorts of channels, books and articles talking about doing this and doing that. The guillotine tool always seems to come into play, especially traditional blacksmiths when they're making, well, anything really. It's kind of, I'll show some random pictures off Google of the idea of what I'm talking about for those who don't know. But it's a very powerful tool, and overall, it's a very simple tool. And I really wanted to make my own. And so I sat down, and this is kind of the first project where I really wanted to do some proper design and proper thought in, I guess ahead of time, pre-process, before I just dove right into this project. Because this one, things actually have to line up. Things kind of have to fit better together than anything else I've done so far. So here's the design I came up with, and well, hopefully it's good.
And here is the design that will cause Dookie's downfall. Little does he know that this project will lead him to the dark side. His family will disown him, his friends will leave him, and his face, well, his face will stay the same because it's already messed up. The guillotine tool ends lives.
And that is my design. I think it'll work. I think it takes some of the best of what I've seen on Google and other designs. Now, will it work if it's perfectly made? Yes. Will it work if I make it? I don't know. At this point, everyone should know how bad I am at measuring, how just terrible I am at all of this stuff. So there's a very good chance that I just mismeasure and cut something totally off. Oh man, well, it's a fairly dang straight line. Well, it's much straighter than I could have ever gotten on my own. Now, I knew that this is, power consuming operation, especially cutting 1/2 inch steel. But I went through 2 batteries to cut through this thing, and but it looks fantastic. So I don't have enough power to actually chop off one of the ends. So I'm just going to pack this up, bring it upstairs, and charge the batteries, and then we'll come out here at some other point and actually get this thing to shape. Okay, well, it has been more than a week. It's been quite a while from a combination of weather and other projects kind of getting in the way. But here we are, we're back working on the Guillotine Tool. And so we have the roughed out, let me grab this, we have the roughed out base here that we did our first initial cut on right there, and it went pretty well. So now, if we look at our plans, which I guess just put it like this. I have a rough 2D drawings of what I was kind of planning, just so that I can look at it without, going on the computer and stuff like that. So we have the rough base here, and the thing that we are missing is, I believe, we still have to make a cut on this, if I remember correctly. Right, it's only supposed to be 6 inches long, so that is one thing we're going to have to cut. The downside of pretty much all of the steel, I don't know if you'll be able to tell, but none of these sides are actually straight, except this one came from the manufacturer, but that's the only side that's actually straight. So when I go to, cut whichever way, it's unfortunately just kind of got to deal with it. Just gonna basically take an angle grinder, kind of smooth this out a little bit, and then shawang, slice that sucker off. But that's the base. Good to go. So one more cut on the base, and that'll be good. Here, I don't know if you can see this on the camera. Yeah, here I have it the upright, and that is 1/2 inch plate like the base, and that is 5.75 inches long by 1 inch wide. Now, I don't have anything shorter than this, but this is more 1/2 inch plate, and I'll be able to cut that out of this. Yet again, the downside of this steel is, well, all the sides they're relatively straight, but they've been plasma cut, so they aren't really straight. So essentially, we're going to have to cut the length down to 5.75 and then cut down to 1 inch width. So that's that. Got that taken care of. Well, going to have that taken care of. Next up is the arms, and I need 2 of these. So these are going to be made out of this guy, which is not 1/2 inch, it is 3/8 inch plate. So it's still pretty dang heavy duty. Yet again, same issue, all the sides, nothing is actually straight, so it's going to be a little bit of jank is going to be kind of built in to the whole thing without, having a milling machine to like really square everything up. But we are going to do our best. This will be the arms, and this will be 6.16 inches long by 1 inch wide. So I believe this is bigger than, it's just over 2 inches, so I can get both arms out of one piece. So that will be good. So I'm going to make the 2 arms, which are these guys, these yellows, out of this. Next is the clamper plates, which are these outside yellow guys, which are the plates that sandwich the die, I suppose, in. And that will also be made out of 3/8 inch plates. So I will, and those are 3 inches long by 1 inch wide. So I will be able to make both of those. I need 2 of them. I'll be able to make both of those out of this plate as well. The next thing is the spacers, which are these blue guys over here, which essentially space off, give room for the die to pass through, which are 1/2 inch squares by 1 inch tall, which I will be making. Well, I mean, I could use that big plate here, or I could use some scrap cutoff, and I think I might as well use this to make the spacer junkers out of, and just whong whong, and I think this is over 2 inches too. Yeah, so, well, it's not over 2 inches, so I can get, just slice, make 2 of those out of this, and use a little bit of the cutoff. So I don't have to cut into a whole plate, and I can save that for future projects. So those are the pieces that I'm gonna need to make still, or cut still. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mark them up and measure everything and get everything ready so that when I go outside, out back, I can just cut these up, and then we can move on to, well, I guess getting the bolt holes, and I guess the next big step is actually mounting the what's it called? The upright plate that holds both the arms. But anyway, I'm going to mark these up, then we'll head outside. Well, after cutting all that stuff up, unfortunately it's been quite a few weekends since we last looked at this guillotine tool, but hopefully we're going to start making some progress on it again. And where we left off was I just cut all this stuff up and have it, well, ready for the next steps. And if, based on our drawing and our 3D design, if you remember, there is obviously these arms are these yellow right here. And so these arms are going to have to bend 1 inch of straight, then bend here, then 3 inches of, well, straight, I guess, bent, whatever, here. And to be honest, this area is, this bend here is the most important, because I need enough straight area here to mount the other stuff to. This can be a little bit off, and this bend can be a little bit off, because some of the things that I kind of had planned for this project have changed, which I guess I might as well update you now. So originally, based on the design, which I guess I'll pull that up here. Based on the design, everything was bolted together, which is, I think, would work in the short term, but not in the long term. So really what we want is these things to be welded together in the end for the final build. And so I am going to be heading home to Pennsylvania soon, and I figured my father has a shop on the farm and welder and all that stuff, and he said he wouldn't mind welding it up. So I'm going to go home with these hopefully bent, but basically all the parts ready to go, and everything that needs welded is going to be welded. Just finished marking these things up and just wanted to do some test lookings. Make sure, you know, this area right here is actually 3 inches and it's right on. So it turns out my measurements based on my 3D model are pretty much exact. And obviously this is, 1 inch and, all that stuff. So as far as where the bends need to happen, this is the correct spot. Now, the main thing is how do I make the bends and make them in such a way that, well, they're one in the right spot, and then also the same, like precise enough, because these two arms are going to be, sitting on top of each other, and they have to be, fairly close aligned. That is another reason why I'm actually going to end up welding these together, because any small variation in alignment, they can be adjusted and the gap can be welded. So that is something I am taking into account. I know and that's one of the reasons I'm switching to welding this thing together, is because I know I'm not going to be precise enough to get these two not only bend exactly the same, but also align each other, in the vertical axis, to allow for these two arms to be exactly aligned with each other and allow the dies to line up and be tight and precise. So, but I still have to bend them. Boom, bam, best thing you've ever seen. Most expensive, most awesome. Yeah! we got her in the vise. Now, yet again, I still don't fully understand what I'm doing, but obviously this is the angle in which, you know, it's got to go blazow, and so it's got to go like that at that relative angle. So I'm just gonna have to hit it, I guess. Couple good taps, and tell you what, you know, it's definitely not perfect, but it will at least be repeatable. So what this will allow me to do is repeat the bend. Well, it's not the prettiest thing in the world, but essentially, when these things are red hot, I will still be able to see at which point the bends are actually supposed to happen, and hopefully make it happen. You know what I'm saying? So that is going to be my goal for tomorrow. All right, it has been a while. You can't tell, but it's been raining and all sorts of other stuff has kept me from coming out. But we're back out here at the park, and what I have brought with me is I did bring all of my starter tongs. These are the ones I bought like a long time ago just to have kind of a basis of tongs to start with. And so these should help me out. They should be enough, I should say. I brought the Guillotine Tool's main arms, which I'm going to try to bend. You know, there's a high chance that I ruin them just because I was looking at it, and just because of the thickness of the material and how small the area the bend has to happen, it's going to be kind of difficult. But I'm going to give it my best shot, heating it up in the forge and doing it. comes the airplane. Now it's a race car. Eat it up. Nom, 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 nom. And that's how you feed a forge. Do it right, people. Well, let's give this thing a shot, shall we? So I see where it is. I'm going to try to eye it right in the center where the dots are. Do my best to keep it there. And then well, I turned off the forge, and I have the two pieces, I think, as close as I can get them by eye. They're still pretty hot, so what I'm gonna do is put them both in the vise, at the same relative positions, and tighten them down. And essentially, let me grab the wrench, and essentially hit them a little bit with them tightened down until they line up even more. I don't know if that's a good way to do it or a bad way, but I figure tightening them down, and man, the vise is so nice to use with the angle iron added. As far as those two angles, that's pretty dang close. I mean, I can rub the hammer across it and not catch. Like, it's pretty dang close. So that is awesome. So let's flip these things around. And do it the other direction. And see, essentially, if I can get them to line up pretty dang good there too. And if I can, then we're good to go, homie. I tighten that down. What I did is I tried to make sure those punch dots that I made are relatively in line with each other. There we go. So it's a little bit off here, but not a lot. It might be a little too much Let me grab the camera and see if I can show it a little bit better. So they're a little bit off on the top there, but everything else is pretty much golden as far as lining up. So I'm tempted to just leave that and call it a success. But it's still pretty hot, so maybe I can take it to the anvil and just hit it a couple times and hopefully not ruin it. But so far, things are looking really good. Let me just grab, so which one? I want to do that one. So this one. And I'm just gonna go hit it real quick and see what I can do. See if that was enough. I saw it move, so I'm hoping it was. And voila. Look at that. So they are not identical, as one could probably expect, but pretty dang good as far as, you know, lining them up and getting them. All right. I'm not feeling bad about this. Oh, it was a good day. Good day. Here we go. We got the two. I can't see. I can't see if I can't see. Well, we got the two pieces of steel bent up, looking pretty snazzy, if I do say so myself. They are damn close, considering just, you know, doing it by eye and hand with my crappy skills. But I'm very excited about how this has gone, and we can move on to the next stage, which is welding the entire guillotine tool together. Now that is going to be a little different because I am actually traveling home soon, and I figure I'm going to bring this with me all the way to Pennsylvania and have the old man help me out with welding these things and weld it at home. So you'll probably have a little bit of a change of scenery, but should still be cool. And the next time you see, or the next shot, I guess, for the guillotine project should be not here, but somewhere far, far away from here. Well, hello. I am in a very different place, and I do not remember how I left off since I last recorded for the Guillotine Tool, but I'm far away in the land, mythical land of Pennsylvania. And this is Pennsylvania right here. This is it. This is all of Pennsylvania. There's nothing else to it. It's just this room. So I'm here, and what we're here for is, one, I'm visiting family, and two is to continue work on the guillotine tool. Now I flew out here, and of course I forgot 2 of the 4 spacers at home, so I have to make some more of those. And right now, what my goal is to just kind of clean up the surfaces, flatten some things, and you know, make the cutouts and all that other stuff, and then get ready kind of for tomorrow. if it was hard to tell on camera. I'm pretty sure it was because it was kind of close up. But luckily, while my hands weren't on the belt, it snapped. Well, the belt snapping isn't good, but my hands weren't on it, so I didn't get smacked up real good with the flying belt. So that's good. Now, where that leaves us is I ground up the bottom piece so that the bottom that is going to be touching the plate here, like this, is pretty flat. And then where the dies are going to be on this outside piece, like this, is pretty flat. And essentially, this is the top piece, and so I ground this flat so I have a flat surface, and where the dies go as a flat surface. Now, as far as the arm here, what I need to still do is grind this so that I have a tenon type piece here that goes through the base plate. And so I'm going to be doing that soon. And then also, to go along with that, is finding out where it goes here and drilling the hole. Additional audio, just finished shaping the tenon, rough tenon. So the rough tenon piece is done. The issue is on the belt grinder here. I can't get kind of sharp, edges or kind of get in there. So hopefully I have some hand files around that I can get in here and kind of sharpen up these grinds and level it out a little bit. Well, overall, this thing hasn't come out too bad. There's some level variation in the two sides, but hopefully with welding we can kind of fill those gaps and not cause too much of an issue. So there we go. I think this is a good start, and we can probably make that work. So now I got to drill the hole in the plate here. I got to find out, well, where I'm drilling the hole and drill the hole. Additional audio talking about drilling the hole. Talking about drilling a hole in the piece. Well, I'm about to drill a hole in the base plate, and looking at the drawing, I have it a 1/2 inch in to the, surface, for the flat surface of the arm. So 1/2 inch into this surface, and then a 1/2 inch in from this surface to the, tenon. So that is what I'm going to go with, and I'm going to mark it up on this bad puppy, and we're going to get to drilling. We have the 1/2 inch hole approximately where it needs to go. It is a little bit off just because of my super awesome skills, and I happen to be so good at it that I got it off a little bit. But it shouldn't really make too much of a difference. Where is the arm? Oh, there it is. So this will need a little bit more shaping to fit in the 1/2 inch hole, but essentially that's going to go in there, bada boom, weld it up, all bada boom, putting the arms on. Tomorrow I'm going to clean this up, make sure it fits in the hole. I'm going to make new ones of these because I forgot them at home. And if I'm going to make 2, I might as well make 4 if I can make them a little bit more exact. And then we're going to weld on the arms. So welding coming soon. And that essentially, after I'm done welding, we will be done with the first edition of this prototype guillotine tool, which will be very exciting. So I'm going to clean up a little bit, and I will see you tomorrow with welding, which is pretty cool. I'm probably not going to do the welding. Somebody else is going to do the welding. I'll just show it. So, yeah. See you then. Oh man, look at that lighting. Anyway, we are back, and this is one of those projects that I started months ago, almost a whole season ago, summertime. It is now snowing outside. This is months after we left Pennsylvania. A lot of things just get in the way, and timelines shift and all this stuff. There's a lot of things happening, especially behind the camera currently. And I'll be probably making a little update video to go with this, well, to keep continuing on. But we left Pennsylvania, I think, where I had to leave before it was completely welded up, just because my flight and all that stuff. So it was almost finished when we left it. But it is finished now. And here we go. The prototype, Dookie Forge. Dookie Forge Guillotine Slapper Chop. Here it is. Here it is. Now, I still have a little bit of work to do on this. The set screws for this, so that any die that goes in here, if there's a little wiggle room or whatever, any slop can be taken up. And it can be adjusted a little bit to line up with the bottom die easier. I still have to do that. But essentially, this is the finished prototype guillotine tool. It is awesome. It's a little clunky. It's a little heavy. And, but it's awesome. So this came out like pretty dang close to my design, and I'm very happy about that. Now, we all know how that worked out with my bending jig. It didn't work out at all, but this, I have a good feeling about it. Everything should be at least workable in a rough prototype phase. It might not be the best guillotine tool out there, but it should be pretty dang good. And one of the nice things I like about this design, which I don't think I've seen this particular setup out there. It probably does exist, but through my research, I never ran across one like this. But the benefit of this one is I can, put in material this way, of course, straight horizontal this way, but then I also have angle access at all the different angles as well as vertical, the straight on angles. So this thing is awesome. Next up, before even I necessarily make the set screw adjusters here, is to make a die, at least the first kind of square die for these out of mild steel. It'll be the starting point, and test it out if it kind of works at all. And then maybe some form of fastening, but to hold it down while I use it. But yeah, it is pretty awesome. I'm very pleased with this. And I just don't even know really what to say other than it is awesome. And I think it'll work. So, keep an eye out for future videos on finishing up this guillotine tool. And quite a few things are going to be changing over the next couple months and weeks for me. And not only on the project and blacksmithing front, but just life in general. So things are going to be a little weird, but I'm going to try my best to continue on this path and learning blacksmithing and getting better at it. And, well, not only blacksmithing, but any other skill that comes along with it. So I guess this is the end of this particular episode. And with that, I will leave you with this episode's quote of the week. Quote of the week of this episode's quote. I guess it's not a quote of the week. It's just this episode's quote.
Hey, who's that Quotamon?
Bradley Cooper, look at my hands. They're up on top of my head, so casual like. I'm so casual, just sitting here in public. This is how I stand all the time. Look at me, I'm so casual. Bradley Copper, man. Cooper Copper. I'm a Bradley Cooper. Dookie called me and you do a favor. And I'm just here to read this thing. It's all so super casual. I'm gonna read it with my hands above my head. Okay, here we go. I am serious, and don't call me Shirley. If I was in that movie, I'd be so casual with my hands above my head. Oh, I'd look so good.